Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. My name is Chris, and on this channel, I make mostly perfume content. I make videos that I enjoy making, and I make videos that I would enjoy viewing. And this video, I completely stole from another content creator, one of my favorite content creators, Wendy's Parade of Perfume. She did a video based on fragrances that would go great with a little white dress. We always hear about the little black dress. We never hear about the little white dress, and apparently, you know, going to a party where you can choose to wear a white dress or a black dress is a thing. You know, wearing white clothing is actually fun and makes me think of summer. And these are fragrances that I think would go great if you're wearing all whites. You know, back in the day, the tennis whites at the country club. I personally don't belong to a country club, but in my mind, this is what I would wear if I was dressed in my tennis whites or an all white outfit or a beautiful white dress. These are the fragrances that I would wear. And I have fragrances for everybody. I have fragrances for guys, I have fragrances for girls, I have unisex fragrances, everything in between. So hopefully something for everyone. Now, since this is my favorite category, I think I got so excited I had around 30 perfumes and I had to really cull the herd. So I've got it way down to 20 something fragrances. And with that, I'm going to get started. So if you have any fragrances or colognes that you love to wear when you're dressed in all white, let us all know down below. Now, there's going to be a theme. These fragrances in general are going to be clean, fresh, citrusy, sometimes soapy, just something that reminds me typically of warmer weather. And the first one I pulled is one by Carne Barcelona. This is Sal Y Limon. I got this at the end of summer last year, and it's for people who love citruses, but the citruses in here, they have a little bit of sweetness. It's like this beautiful lemon lime, maybe a little bit of orange soda without all of the bubbles. And it dries down into, you know, like a softer woody musk. So almost beverage-like in its refreshing quality. I absolutely love this, and I think it's very, very unisex. It's very thirst quenching. If you're burning hot, this would be absolutely fantastic. A fragrance that I talk about all the time and makes me think of, well, I do wear this mostly in warmer weather, but I do occasionally wear this in the colder weather when it's a blue sky, like a bluebird day. This is Nothing But Sea and Sky. This is a very simple fragrance, but you have to like clean sandalwood, musk, and a little bit of bergamot. It's a fairly linear fragrance, and this makes me think of a white linen pantsuit or linen pants. Very unisex, very light, very refreshing. Doesn't last forever, but it's not gonna weigh you down. And it's just an easy grab and go for me. Let's see. I had to have a Jo Malone in here, and I didn't want to talk about wood sage and sea salt, although it would be great for this video because I talk about it all the time. So the other one I thought would work really well is Wild Bluebell. Now, I think this is supposed to smell like bluebell and grass. And I get something that smells a little bit peachy and a little bit like watermelon. So a little bit floral, a little bit musky, a little bit green, fresh, peachy with that undertone of something like a watermelon. It's very fresh, very refreshing, and it just makes me think of maybe a pretty white sundress, something light, something delicate, doesn't weigh you down. Okay, one of the fragrances that I think is a beautiful unisex fragrance, and I would love to smell it on somebody else. I love to wear it. I would really love to smell this on a gentleman, maybe somebody, I can just imagine somebody wearing all white, maybe a white jacket. You could go casual, you could get dressed up with this one. It's Cèdre Figalia, and it is a beautiful woody fig. If you like something like a Philocycos or a Première Figuier by Parfums, this falls into that category. This is a little bit more woodier version of that. It's a woodier version. Not quite as sweet, but definitely has the fig, but it has the fig bark and it has the fig leaves and the fig twigs in here. Very, very put together. I just see this as a super chic fragrance. That I was originally going to give to Pat, but I took back because it smells so good. But absolutely fantastic unisex fragrance. Another, let's go with one that's masculine leaning or marketed towards men. To me, this is like the proper British gentleman. This is what I imagine an old school English country club bathroom would smell like. And I mean in the best way. Like if you went to a really fancy country club, let's say you went to Wimbledon, and they were selling cologne in the gift shop. I imagine it would smell like Blenheim Bouquet. This is what my grandfather wore. This is going way, way back. It's just very classic. It's citrusy, it's lemony. It has a little bit of spices. I want to say pepper and some subtle woods, thinking juniper, the slightest hint of green. I just absolutely love this fragrance, and it just reminds me of somebody who is put together, who is cleanly shaven. Their hair is perfectly coiffed, not a hair out of style, and then a little bow tie. So of course I'm going to have some Chanel fragrances, and the two that I chose, because I didn't want this to be like a Chanel party, is one of my favorite Chanels. This is Chanel number 5, L'Eau. If you've ever smelled Chanel number 5 Eau Première, this is a watered down version of that, and watered down in a very, very good way. This is a very light, summery take on Eau Première, which is sweet, and it's heavily floral, and it's powdery. This one is just the best way I can put it, it is a very summertime version. You could wear it in very, very hot weather. It's not gonna weigh you down, and you may not like that it doesn't last forever like Chanel number 5 and Eau Première, but it's one of the reasons I love it. It's an easy reach for me. It's new. And I think you could wear that with a beautiful white dress. You could wear it with white shirt and shorts, and you could wear it with, a sundress. It just goes with everything. Something that's a little bit more elevated. This could definitely be a signature scent. It could be a wedding scent. It's absolutely beautiful. Timeless is 1957. I talk about it all the time, but a beautiful, an aldehydic, slightly soapy, musky, orris fragrance. So the iris in here is just a touch more earthy, but it's offset by the beautiful aldehydes, those Chanel aldehydes, which are present, but in my opinion, not overwhelming. And this smells white to me. So I always grab for this, and I didn't realize it when I'm wearing something white, like a white shirt, a white dress, a white jacket. I tend to go for the beautiful 1957. Okay, how about I go with some fragrances by Mr. Quentin Biche. Valaya always makes me think of white. This makes me think of a wedding day scent, and maybe it's because of the bottle, but it's definitely a very molecular, modern, fruity, floral fragrance with a ton of musk. So if you like something like Fleur Narcotique, this is very, very similar, which isn't a surprise because they share the same perfumer, but this is like a Fleur Narcotique with musks times 100. On me, this lasts forever, and it's pretty and loud at the same time. It's not a fragrance you want to spray 10 times. You are going to choke people out. And a reason why I think this is a great wedding scent is maybe it's the bottle. It just looks like a wedding scent, but it lasts all day. And you wouldn't have to touch yourself up, and it just smells delicate and pure and lovely. And I bought Neroli Amara at the end of summer last year, and I actually wore these side by side, and wouldn't you know, they remind me a lot of each other, and you can tell that they share the same perfumer. So Neroli Amara, it's very similar to Fleur Narcotique, in my opinion. And I don't have Fleur Narcotique because I decluttered it because I had Valaya. So it was a little silly that I ended up getting Neroli Amara, which reminds me a lot of a fragrance that I decluttered. So if you have that one, you don't need this one. I can't put my finger on it. There was just something in Fleur Narcotique that gave me, if I went a little too heavy-handed, gave me a headache. There's something a little bit more delicate about Neroli Amara, and it does, again, remind me of Valaya, except without all of the musks. So if you're trying to be very thoughtful about not having too many fragrances in your collection with a lot of overlap, it's really kind of one or the other. I think 2 days ago, these were my scent of the day, and I enjoy both of them. I would say Valaya is the harsher of the two. I mean, you really have to embrace musks to enjoy that. Another Carna Barcelona, a new pickup for me, Bobo. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. This is citruses and white florals, neroli, orange blossom, and it has a touch of soapiness to it in the dry down. Years ago, I smelled Creed Jardin Amalfi. A nice friend of mine, a subscriber that I met here on YouTube, sent me a lovely decant. I fell head over heels for that fragrance, but it was very, very expensive. It's always been on my wish list. It came off my wish list the minute I smelled Bobo in a discovery set. This one I'm gonna use right up and go for a big bottle. This is very, very similar. This is like the more affordable version of that fragrance. This one might be, I mean, they're just so similar. Beautiful citrus white floral with a touch of soapiness, musk. And this one is probably a little bit more green and maybe a touch more soapy in the dry down than the Creed version. Most of these fragrances are on the higher side because it is a, you know, you're wearing a fancy white dress, but I've got some more budget friendly options. Let's see, this one used to be my signature scent. When it first came out, this is Bulgari. This is Eau de Blanc, so this is the white tea version. And I smelled this because I went into a hotel in Las Vegas. It was a very nice hotel years ago, and they were clearly pumping some sort of aroma into the ventilation to kind of, fancy hotels do that. From what I've learned, I've stayed in just a couple of them, and in the few really fancy hotels I've stayed in, they tend to pump some sort of aroma into the ventilation system. And I went up to the concierge and I asked them, what are you pumping through the ventilation, because I need it, and they told me it was Eau de Blanc by Bulgari. And I bought a bottle like that day or the next day. I was in Vegas, and I also at one point bought the entire set. They have shampoo and conditioner, and let me tell you, when you wear the shampoo and conditioner, you don't need fragrance. It lasts, it just is so, it lasts all day, and every time you turn your head, you can get that beautiful smell. But this is a beautiful, this is a white tea, musk, amber, and a little bit of spices. I believe this has a touch of black pepper, but this used to be my go-to. Even though it's very light, very pleasant, people would still wear me when they got kind of in my scent bubble, and it was a compliment getter. Again, I don't wear perfumes for compliments, but it's just a very pleasant, very easy to take fragrance. That's why I say it. Okay, the most budget-friendly option. And you don't have to have a super expensive fragrance to wear all white. And one of my favorite fragrances in my collection, one of my favorite budget-friendly fragrances, I've shown this time and time again. This was really hyped up a couple years ago. I've had this perfume for 4 or 5 years, and now no one talks about it. I still think it's a fabulous fragrance, one of the best fragrances money can buy. I bought this for like $30, $35. Now with shrinkflation, it might cost $50. But if you spent all your money on your country club dues and you don't have a lot to spend on a fragrance, this is fabulous. Trussardi Donna, this is the Eau de Parfum. I've had the Eau de Toilette. I got rid of that because they're way too similar. I prefer this one a little bit more. It is a little bit sweeter. That one had a little bit of cantaloupe, I want to say, which is kind of a cool note. But this to me smells like citrusy, like yuzu lemonade with delicate white flowers, a little bit of sandalwood. It definitely dries more woody and creamy and sweet. This has a sweetness that the Eau de Parfum I do not pick up. That one is a little bit more musky. And this is the signature scent of a few celebrities. I want to say Kelly Ripa, and I'm blanking on her name. Oh my gosh, I'll put her name up. But she's married to one of the Jonas Brothers. This is her signature scent. So it's quite beautiful, and I always think of white when I'm wearing something white. Even if I'm casually dressed, which I usually am, that's a fantastic grab and go. Speaking of tennis whites, speaking of being at Wimbledon, this fragrance reminds me of Wimbledon, and when I think of Wimbledon, I think of proper, I think of grass, and I think of tennis whites, even though people wear what they want to. But back in the day, you had to wear white clothing when you went out to play tennis at a proper club. And so this is Hermès, and this is Un Jardin Sur La Toit. And it reminds me of Wimbledon because it smells like grass and red fruits and rose and a little bit of musk. I think this is apple in here. But this is the ultimate Wimbledon scent for that reason. And because of it, it just makes me think of, you know, tennis whites. And it is in Hermès. So Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit more quickly. Speaking of kind of tennis whites and something a little bit more casual, this is one of my summertime go-tos. This was recommended to me by somebody out there. I think your name was Gwen, but I do know you're a neonatal nurse, and this is one of the work-friendly fragrances that you suggested, and I absolutely love this. This is by Paperwork Solutions, and this is called Solution Number 2. No, this is by Off-White, and this is called Solution Number 2. Oh my gosh, this is one of my favorite citrusy neroli fragrances. This is neroli. It's a little bit green, but not too much. I mean, it is a touch. Definitely orange blossom, citruses, but this has a beautiful tangerine note, so it's not too tart. It has a little bit of that beautiful citrusy sweetness, so I think tangerine is delicious and refreshing, but it's not overly tart. And this one has a little zing of ginger, which I love. It's clean and fresh. It's not loud. I love it so much. I talked about it on a video, and then I thought maybe I should get a backup. It's so good, and then it was sold out. So one of the very few backup worthy fragrances that I'm thinking about getting, because it would be very sad if I could not get that again. A beautiful fragrance that's a little bit more elegant, but you can get it on the gray market. You don't have to spend a ton for it. It's where I got mine. Is Frangipani by Ormond Jane. This is an elegant, I think of an elegant woman wearing this fragrance. I mean, obviously anybody can wear anything. A man can wear this, but the image that comes to my mind is a very put together lady who's maybe wearing all white or white and beige and just beautifully put together, very quiet, very soft spoken, not loud in your face, and just has a classiness to her. So this is yellow flowers. This is Frangipani and a little bit of linden blossom, which I had a linden blossom tree in my front yard. I had to chop it down. It was right up against my house, but the buds are, at least mine, were yellow, had a yellow tinge to it. And this has a lot of lime in the beginning. So it's Frangipani, it's linden blossom, which to me smells like a yellow floral with a little bit of lime and a little bit of honey. And so a very citrus forward fragrance in the beginning, but delicately soft, delicately floral, and like most Ormond Jane fragrances, dries into a kind of a floral, woody musk. Very lovely, very delicate, like for a delicate person. Oh my goodness. So I'm gonna do 3 at a time here. Okay. A fragrance that reminds me of wearing all white on the seashore. Maybe you're in the Mediterranean. Maybe you get to go to Spain or France or Italy, and you have a lovely villa right off the ocean. You have an ocean view. This one would be perfect. I think of Nuda Veritas, which is a jasmine forward perfume that smells like the ocean. So to me, and this is very fresh, very citrusy fresh, this smells like you took a bushel of jasmine, you dunked it upside down, maybe outside of your hotel room, you put it in salt water or seawater all day, you lifted it back out, put it in a vase, let it dry out, and as it's drying out, you put a squeeze of lemon. You just kind of spritz some lemon water on top, and that's what Nuda Veritas smells like to me. This is absolutely beautiful, but you do have to love jasmine. You have to love something that smells a little bit saltwater, a little bit like the ocean, and it's just lovely, and a little bit of lemony. It smells, if you smelled Eden Rock before, I have Eden Rock. That one can be hard to take. It's very minerally, very oceanic. This is an easier version. This is a more citrusy, less woody, less oceanic version of that scent. Quite beautiful. This next fragrance smells like sunshine in a bottle, sweet sunshine in a bottle. This is Soleil de Icosim by Coty, or the new Coty Infiniment. And this is beautiful orange blossom. This is sweet orange blossom neroli. So that combination, orange blossom neroli, again, I'll put the notes up. I'm just guessing. I'm telling you what I smell. It's this beautiful orange blossom neroli, if I can get the words out, with a sweetness. And when I say sweetness, I'm not saying a marshmallowy sweetness like Love Don't Be Shy. Not the same fragrance. It has a little bit of a candied sweetness. So it is sweet, and I like sweet fragrances. If you absolutely can't stand any fragrance with a little bit of sweetness or a sweet touch, you may not like this. I wore this to work, and my little coworker who works right next to me, she gets really happy when I wear Orange Blossom fragrances because she tells me I smell happy and I smell like sunshine. The next one that reminds me of wearing a white dress is Ella K. It's by Ella K. It's Musc K. This is a very simple perfume done very, very well. I wish there was something that was a little bit more affordable for people to experience, because these fragrances are on the high side. And I got mine, I'll let you know below, I got mine at a discounter. I want to say Venba. Even though I got many of my other Ella K fragrances and I paid full retail, I was happy to get maybe $50 off on this one. It's so beautiful. One of my most complimented fragrances. This smells white. It is musky with a beautiful powdery iris, and it has other white florals. I want to say this has like the sand iris something. I have like 3 perfumes with that note, and I like all the notes. And I like all my perfumes that share that note, but it gives it a kind of a summertime, summer floral vibe. Beautiful, impeccable musk, incredible lasting power. I absolutely love this. And of course, I think of this when I wear, white, something that's kind of Chanel-esque. It's very fancy. It reminds me, it smells like a Chanel fragrance. Is called Le Peau Nu, which I think means nude skin or fresh skin or naked skin. And I love this perfume, and a travel size is perfect for me right now, but this is a dry, starchy, powdery iris, and I bought this because it had an accord of rice. So the rice in here makes it a little bit powdery, a little bit starchy, and it just goes so well with that delicate, powdery iris orris. The iris in here smells a little bit more like orris because it's slightly earthy, and it's earthy because it has a little bit of vetiver, which to me smells like dried grass. It's earthy, and it smells like, brownish grass or grass drying, or those baskets, those woven baskets. That's to me what vetiver smells like. So, soft, subtle, beautiful, reminds me of all whites. Oh my gosh, despite my best intents, this is going to be a marathon. I just can't not show these fragrances. Very quickly, a perfume that makes me think of white. It's a very meditative scent. It reminds me of Bali. There's something very calming about this fragrance. It has white florals. I get a very soft tuberose, and I get a very soft sandalwood. And for some reason, it makes me think of Bali, because at least when I went there over 15 years ago, even if you got into a taxi, they had these little trays or baskets they would have. It would be in front of buildings, in front of temples, even in taxis. Fresh flowers, little sticks of sandalwood, and I think they were like offering to the gods. And to me, this fragrance smells like those little baskets. It is Gardens of India, but to me it's like Gardens of Bali. And it's a very delicate tuberose. I think it has a little bit of jasmine and a little bit of sandalwood. Very light, very lovely, and it does remind me of white because it's a very delicate perfume. The soapiest, like this one is straight up white soap. White soap, very bubbly. This is soap with bubbles. Like as you're, washing your soap, bubbles are popping. It's like very effervescent. This is a white soda soap. And this is 724 MFK. If you don't like aldehydes, if you don't like something squeaky clean, you would absolutely hate this. But the cleanest, soapiest fragrance in my collection, I think the flower, I'm sure it has lots of flower, but for some reason the flower sweet pea sticks out to me as being in this perfume. And I don't think it was a good seller for the brand, but when I really I want to feel squeaky clean, that's the squeaky cleanest of them all. If I went to a luxury spa somewhere, I'm thinking California, Mexico, and it's very sunny, it's very warm, white sands, I'm going to pair it with one by the House of Beau, Agua de Santos. This is the fragrance I first fell in love with. It was the first fragrance I smelled at the House of Beau boutique a couple years ago down in Houston. We don't have a boutique like that. We don't have a counter here. I wish we did. This is very, very beautiful. A green, citrusy, neroli orange blossom scent. It is beautiful with a little bit of musk and a little bit of dry woods, maybe blonde woods in the dry down. I'd love a full bottle of this. I'd also love to be a millionaire. So it's on my wish list, but thankfully they offer these travel sizes so I can wear this and I can justify maybe a full bottle in the future if I ever do finish this scent. And given that I have a lot of fragrances in this scent category, you know, I don't need it right now, even though I love it very much. The oldest school perfume in this list, I imagine someone who's very proper, who's had a signature scent for 50 years. It's been the same signature scent, and it is Creed Florissimo, and I should have put this in my repurchases because this is a repurchase. I repurchased the tester, and it drives me crazy that I don't have the cap. No, it's always, you want to save a little bit of money by getting the tester, and then it drives me crazy when I don't have the caps. But this is a very, it's an old school fragrance. It's been around for over 50 years. This is the fragrance that Princess Grace of Monaco wore to her wedding, and it is another fragrance, and I left it out of the video I just filmed. Fragrances I purchased because I smelled them on someone else. I was very poor, which was a big part of my life because I was a student and went to school for a long time and then did some training after that. I didn't have any money for fragrances, and I went on a sabbatical to Washington, D.C., and I would always go into the Cheesecake Factory. This was really fancy, you know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. Was it that long ago? Probably. And I would buy a cheesecake, and I would kind of eat it over 2 or 3 days as a very fancy gift to myself. And a woman at the bar who was literally dressed in all white. I would say she was in her late 20s, 30s. She was probably a mover and a shaker in Washington, D.C. She smelled so good. I walked by the bar, and I localized it to her, and I walked up to her. She was in a conversation, and I tapped her on the shoulder. I said, "Excuse me, miss, you smell so good. Can you tell me what you're wearing?" She was so polite to me. She probably felt sorry for me. I was probably in a t-shirt and grubby shorts. She was so kind, and she told me, "Oh, it's called Florissimo by Creed, and it was a fragrance that Princess Grace wore." Well, I didn't have the budget for it, and I literally remember taking $5 a week, which was a lot for me, and sliding it into like a little cookie jar. And it took me over a year, but I saved up the money to buy a smaller bottle of Creed Florissimo, and it was really my fancy fragrance for years. It is, I think it has been reformulated. It doesn't smell like what I remember, but it's a very kind of an old school, strong fragrance. Lots of flowers, I'm sure. White flowers, rose. It does have some purple flowers in here. I get something a little bit like a lilac, maybe a water hyacinth. It does have, it has violet leaf. It has a greenness, and it's salty, so a little bit of ambergris. Not going to be for everybody, but I mean, this is the absolute definition of, you know, wedding white, a classy white old school fragrance that I'm sure lots of people would still love today. Okay, this is going to be my longest video ever, so I'm going to quickly finish up one of my favorite fragrances to smell on Pat. This is a fragrance that we bought in Florence, and this is called Vetiver d'Hiver. One of my favorite things to smell on a man, and I love it myself. This is a beautiful citrusy fragrance. It's got all the things, all the citruses, grapefruit, bergamot, lemon. It has cardamom. It's just beautiful, lovely, fresh, and the sales associate at the Giorgio Armani boutique in Firenze was wearing it. It was a signature scent. He was just like this beautiful middle-aged man with salt and pepper hair, and he was just dressed to the nine. The next one is by a British house that's been around for a while. I think this is from London. They go way, way back, Graham and Pot. And this is called White Sable. This is a magnolia forward fragrance. This is magnolia, white flowers, and lots of peach and raspberry. And it's a very delicate, this smells very Parisian, even though it's an English house. It has this delicate white floral nature to it with some dusting of some fruits that are done very, very well. And it's soft and it's elegant, and it dries into like a light, soft, floral woody musk. The last one, I think this is, well, actually I'll go with this one. This one was tossed in a order I just placed with Scent Split. I order from them all the time, and they tossed this little card and sample in. It was by Giardini di Toscana called Colonia Nobile. I smelled this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need this so badly. This is literally on my wish list, and I sound like a crazy person. I'm staring at 25 perfumes in front of me in this same category, but I absolutely love it. It's basically bergamot, you know, petitgrain, neroli, very simple, very fresh. This is very unisex, maybe a little bit sweeter. So definitely on my wish list. I sprayed it on my bathrobe, and my bathrobe smells so delicious, but it's very, very light wearing. So if you want something that lasts forever, that's not it. And the fanciest fragrance I have in front of me, this is for my white dress. My fanciest white dress of all time is going to be Prodigy by Mind Games. And this was gifted to me a long time ago, and I didn't wear it or talk about it for the first 3 months because I think it was a brand new scent and I needed to get used to it. I wasn't sure what to think when I first opened it up. It's been many, many months, and I think it is a very beautiful, it is an elegant rose. It's like a vanillic rose fragrance, and I get akigala wood in here. So rose, vanilla, akigala wood, maybe some other spicy florals and some other spices, but those are the 3 notes I get. It is quite fancy, it's elegant, and it lasts a long time. So if you're sensitive to that akigala wood that's in Guidance, it kind of smells like that akigala wood in Guidance. If you're sensitive to that, you probably won't like this. It's very expensive, and I love to test these Mind Game fragrances on Scent Split because they carry basically everything. And last but not least, I had to have a gardenia fragrance, New York gardenia. This is beautiful. This is a gardenia done very well. The opening is the only part where it's the slightest bit harsh, maybe a little bit artificial. It only lasts for a couple minutes, but it does have that buttery aspect of the gardenia. It has the green aspect of the gardenia. It lasts forever and has a really, really pretty dry down. So this is a well done gardenia, and it reminds me of, you know, a white dress with a bouquet of gardenias in a vase during the summer. So that was it, my marathon video. Fragrances that I think of when I'm wearing all white, whether it's more casually dressed or whether it is something a little bit more fancy and elevated. Thanks for sticking around. If you're still with me, I really, really appreciate it. You're probably like me and like to listen to fragrance related content when you're driving somewhere, when you're on a road trip or hiking or walking, because I don't know, I find listening to fragrance content creators very relaxing and enjoyable. If you haven't done it already, let us all know down below some of your favorite white dress, white t-shirt, tennis white fragrances in the comments below. And with that, I'll see you on the next one.